Alright, so hopefully this goes well. Alright, so as far as the final pass of this project, I want to start with just the base project. So yeah, I did the text on the screen. There's different colors for different NPCs, which we'll see in a minute. Ignore the floating gun. I'll get back to that later. So yeah, just little collision boxes with interactions during playing through this. So essentially, the prompt for this was you're halfway through a game and you make a level from the begin or from in the middle of it instead of from the beginning or end or whatever. So, following the prompt, the game is essentially there we go. There's an NPC instead of internal dialogue. It's essentially you get home after journeying afar to find whatever ingredients for an elixir, and you come home to your village, and Unreal Mannequin is the shaman, and he says, "There's one more ingredient." So your village elder has fallen into a coma, and you're here. I'll go on the path. The village elder has fallen sick, and you have to go get ingredients to make an elixir to wake her up from her coma, essentially. And boom, big booming voice. I was going to do text shake and stuff, but I was preoccupied with the system that doesn't work. But we'll get to that later. I'm just going to cut through here. So you go out here, you get the rose. There's an interactable box where you can swap out models, and you give the item a string name, and that is my inventory system is essentially, hey, you're in this collision box with an item. What is the item? And you can put whatever model inside of it you want. As a variable, you can just switch, and then its name is just a string, and your character just holds a string array that is just an array of different, in bigger quotes. Didn't notice that. Whoops. It's an array of just different, in bigger quotes, items. It's just strings. So now I have the rose, so just, rose as a string. And now I hit T to trade. And if I hit E, I don't know. So I traded with him, and I have the elixir. And I don't have the rose. I used to have a debug, like a key that I would hit to print the array, but that's gone. Oh, no. Okay. So I messed that up early. I got ahead of myself. I was messing around with my keys, and I hit R. See, essentially, just because this was cobbled together as a project for functionality, I don't have the keys super streamlined. But yeah, E is to pick up things, and T is to trade with NPCs and whatnot. So that guy over there is inside of one of the trading collision boxes, and so is the village elder. And then over here is her dog. Oof. Alright, and yeah, so the important NPCs, the shaman and the elder, have their own text colors. So she's asleep, and if you hit T to trade the elixir, it gives you nothing. So now I have an empty inventory. So if I go back here again, see it, and yeah, as you can see, there's no model in here, and then boop, on spawn, it sets the model to whatever your variable points at. So I go here, trade the elixir. Yeah. Come over here, and the big booming voice says, "Boy, come forth." And you're like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's go this way, closer." And that's not spooky at all. It sounds like a wonderful, wonderful, terrific idea. So you go up and up and up to the shrine on the mountain. There we go. And then the altar has, the item called Cursed Gem. Doesn't seem sketchy at all to me. to pull the veil behind the screen, this is literally just one of these rocks with a water texture on it because I thought it looked really cool. There we go. Oh no, and now I'm cursed. But since I have the elixir, the player can choose to either rush to the elder to try to give her the elixir, or drink it. The curse seems to be gone, so is the elixir. Looks like the elder's doomed. So yeah, it's just a simple, do you push the fat guy out of the way of the trolley, or do you let him die? It's a kind of that. Except the trolley's, headed at you, so do you push the elder under the trolley and drink the elixir? So that is, I guess, most of the, if not all of the functionality of this level, art aside. And I've got other just like flavor things. Like this was supposed to be a little fire pit, but I didn't mess with fire. But yeah, it's a little like gathering place in the village, and these different houses, and really I learned a lot in this project. I learned how to use a landscape brush, landscape painting materials, and foliage painting and stuff. So this is a big learning experience. So, and this, yeah, my code wasn't the most streamlined, but I know that now. I know how to fix it because of what I've learned because of this freaking thing right here. So yeah, this is my branching dialogue system that inevitably didn't completely come to fruition, but there are some things from it that work. So essentially, this button just doesn't want to work. There's structs down here and whatever. I have questions set up and answers set up to those questions and different pieces of dialogue. Although this does work. There is randomly generated dialogue. See, he says, "Oh, you're back," and if I do it again, he might, "Hello, boy." And as you can see, there's a random color every time that it will assign to NPCs done through this system and not my previous system, because this was an extra component on top. So if I go actually to this and connect these, it will break differently, so I can show off a little bit more. Oh, that's right. So if I go to my over here to my subcontext object here, questions root, question array, and I'll say display question. Where have you been? And who are you? And I don't know, does pineapple belong on pizza? And then compile all that. I know that's a lot to compile, just mentally. That works. And now I can hit this button and it registers that it clicks, but it doesn't do anything. Oh, that's cool. I can hit this one, but oh. So yeah, it's works differently, and these buttons won't detect clicks because this hasn't gone away. But yes, there are some things that are kind of working. I don't know what exactly happened, but I got like 7 out of 8 videos into my tutorials, and I figured out that I had set something up, I guess, incorrectly at the beginning, because the questions wouldn't point to answers, because we have question struct and answer struct, and they just don't want to read each other. So that wasn't working right. I set those up wrong, and I did something wrong with the widget, but it does scroll, and when it's not frozen for whatever reason, it does detect button clicks. So, but things that do work, are the random colors. And, oh, you're back. It's been some time, and it does, pull these up as I added. You watched me add them, so it does dynamically pull those up as you add them, and you can essentially inside of whatever actor oh, that's another thing, the ray trace. So inside of my character, there's a ray trace. And essentially it looks, it'll, if it collides with something, there's a variable that just says, hey, this thing is able to have a conversation, and it's from an interface that gives, some of the functions to this object here. But if it crosses something that just has that can have a conversation checked, then it initiates conversation. So that also is functional. I'm just thinking of the things that do work as opposed to the things that don't work, because I think it's a 50-50 kind of. But the biggest thing is, as you can see, there's 4 folders and then this huge thing. And some of this kind of went over my head, especially initially. I still don't really understand why I do. He's got the person whose tutorials I watched, he's got this context object and then subcontexts, which are like conversations within the conversation and things like that. And I understand that, but I just don't exactly know why he set it up exactly the way he set it up. I think it could be done more simply, but that's the biggest thing, is this was a process of learning, and now I know enough to know that I don't like the way that this is set up. But I did, the knowledge I think that I have gained from the videos from that guy were indispensable, and I do appreciate being able to go through his tutorials, even though it didn't exactly come to fruition the way I had hoped. And part of that's oh, that's something. It doesn't. Well, oh, never mind. I thought it wasn't picking up the button click until I had clicked the first one, but actually this is the first one. Never mind. I'm just trying to save myself at this point. But yeah, I did fix initially. There were some problems with killing my character from not killing him. I had a system where I wanted to give the player health and then over time drain it over a matter of 30 seconds. And then I was like, well, why don't I just give him a 30-second timer, and then if he doesn't drink the elixir, yeah. And now I don't have the elixir, obviously, so I can't drink it. So that part wasn't working. I didn't have any sort of way to drink the elixir to cure myself. So there's that. That is something that I have fixed within, in between breaks that I've taken to. Oh yeah, I died to relieve myself of the stress of this dialogue system that just doesn't work. It's just been one thing after another, and when one thing doesn't work and you spend 2 hours trying to fix it, and then decide to keep building on top of broken code, that's when I guess I had unofficially given up. But now I've officially not given up, but I've done, I think, all that I'm really going to be able to do without spending more time than I have trying to figure out where things went wrong, because I've dug through it so many times. But yeah, this, there is some functionality. There's my original functionality, my extra component for the purposes of the class I'm in, where, do something extra. So I'm like, oh, branching dialogue system was a cool example. I'll just go with that one. And it didn't turn out well. But I think now I have the knowledge necessary to build one from scratch if I were to try to do it on my own. And I may try to do that over break if I've got time, but I also may not. Who knows? But yeah, this is my project come to fruition. I had a lot of fun doing this. I really, really enjoyed this project, and like I said, I have learned a lot. So, clipping water. Let's not look at that. That's okay. It looks better from the ground. There we go. It's still an octagon. That's okay. But yeah, so there's wins and losses, pros and cons, but all in all, I feel that I've learned a good amount, and I set out to do what I originally set out to do and failed to throw extra stuff on top of it. even though I expected myself to be able to throw extra stuff on top of it. But that's all right. I've learned, got the project done. I got some cool little bits of flavor thrown in, and I like how it turned out. So yes, thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and as always, I'll see you in whatever next video I have. Catch you on the flip side.